Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to look at prepping filter media for setting up emergency tanks, because you know sometimes you go to the pet store and you just have to come home with something. It's always good to have some pre-cycled filter media so that you can set up one of those spare tanks or your brand new $1 a gallon sale tank in a pinch. So the first thing I want to look at is extra sponges. So I keep most of my pre-filtered or my extra filter media in my 75 gallon aquarium. And there's two reasons for that. One, because it has a sump on it. So the sump allows for you to stockpile extra media down below where it's out of sight of the aquarium. Now, I've learned from past tragedies, we'll say, in this aquarium, that I always keep a little bit of filter media in the tank. So you see back here that there's 3 sponge filters running. Now the 2 on the outside are the ones that are normal for this tank. And that center one, we can see right there next to all the swords, that is a new filter sponge. And the reason it's new is because the one that was in there before just got stolen to set up and add to a fry tank. So when I pulled that extra sponge, I just ordered a new one, and sponges are really cheap, like $7 to $10 for a sponge filter. And so once I got it, I put it in there. So that one's been running for about 2 weeks, and in another week or so I might be pulling it to put in a new tank. So you know, that's why it's always nice to have some extra. So in theory, if I was to go to the pet store today and come home with a bunch of new fish, and I needed to set up, you know, my spare 20 gallon long or my 5 gallon for quarantine, I could pull either of these other 2 sponges that are well cycled and put that into the new tank. It wouldn't affect the cycle in this tank because it has all of that filter media plus the filter media in the sump. So the other thing that I recently ordered was I ordered a bunch of backup ceramic media. So I unboxed these. They were just bagged and rinsed. And so I'm going to throw these in the sump. Well, all but one, because one's going to be part of a different project. But I can take this here and open my sump, and be advised, my sump is dirty. But you see there's a bag of media in there already. And so I'm just going to toss these in here. And of course it's going to stir up a bunch of debris and make the top of my tank look terrible for a minute or 2. But for now, that's there. There's also some extra pot scrubby sponges and those sort of sponges that I could always pull out anytime. And the trays here are also full of filter media. The top one is filter floss. So in theory, you could use the filter floss to start cycling a tank, but that gets replaced regularly. In theory, if you were in a pinch, you could also say, like, take half of this and swap it for some of the media or the sponge in your HOB. And so like if I took this top sponge, I could put it in another hang on the back with some extra media, and it will quicken the cycle. It won't be 100% instant cycle. I don't think there really is such a thing, but there is definitely a quick cycle. For instance, if I just set up this aqua clear straight out of the box with no media from another tank, it's going to take a full 4, 6, maybe even 8 weeks to get the aquarium safe for fish. But if I take media from, like if I took that sponge plus some of this biomedia or the biomedia that came with it, it would probably not even be a full week to get the tank really running at optimal capacity, and most likely would be safe for fish right away, just with, you know, keeping an eye on your ammonia nitrate levels. So once you get crazy about fish, you have to always have backup supplies. So I've just ordered a couple of these AquaClear valves. I really like these ones. They sell them at an Aquarium co-op and of course Amazon, but I like them because you can actually see like how far you're screwing the valve down into it, and they seem to tighten pretty easily, and you don't necessarily have to have something attached to all of them. You can close one off completely and only have 3 active. So then the other thing that I ordered, and this is for the breeding project, because if you watched my last breeding video, I was telling you how I'm getting a lot of I'm not getting a lot of mechanical filtration from the 2 sponges that are in there. So I ordered these 2 corner box filters. And these used to be extremely popular in the hobby, and they're still really popular with a lot of fish breeders. If you watch a lot of fish room tours, you'll see these. Like, air-driven filters are always popular because they're more efficient, you know, less electricity. If you're running a big fish room, if you have it on one linear piston pump versus that. But needless to get into all of this, how they are set up in the package, to me they need a little bit of a retrofitting. So, and I'll show you why now. But I'm gonna set up this little one. So I actually ordered, tangent here, I ordered this 20 gallon, or the tiny AquaClear for the 5 gallon. But I just really think it's going to put out too much water, even if I pre-filter sponge it and everything. And it's going to be so bulky on the little tank. So I thought this would be better. So inside here, if I can open this one-handed, hold on a second. Get a nice close-up shot of a Wyoming landscape there. Totally had this open before this. There we go. Okay. So kind of wiggle the top off. So you have a bunch of filter sponges, and what's nice about these is this is going to be easier to keep clean without destroying all your bio media, because there is a section down here for bio media. But what I don't like about this is really just gravel and some bio rings. So this little tray comes out, and my plan is to dump this out and put in, oops, just got water everywhere, real bio rings in there. Now, since I have 2 cycled sponge filters in this little tank already, you can see how much just mulm, and not that mulm's bad, you know, the fish like it, they hide in it, they graze food in it, but I just like the tank a little bit easier to see, and there's just, it's getting a lot of detritus build up. So these 2 filters are cycled, so I'm not going to pull these filters and put in the other one. I'm just going to add this to it. So in doing so, I'm not really worried about pre-cycling this particular one. If I was, I would just grab some bio rings from one of my 2 or 3 HOBs that I have. But I grab a towel, spill water all over my kitchen table. I guess I should, you know, when messing with fish stuff, have towel handy. It should just be a rule. So my idea here is, so this comes, and it's literally, if you can see this, let me zoom in. I can't do that. This is just aquarium gravel. And not that that doesn't make a place for a biological filter, or biological to grow. It's just not as good as the ceramics rings. This is more porous. It's going to have a little bit better area to grow on. So I'm going to dump this out, dump it into my bowl, and take the rinse media, zoom in, and fill this up. Now, it's not going to be able to hold a ton, but it's only, you know, made to filter a very small aquarium. It's not like I'm going to use this on a 55 gallon, you know, it's a 5 gallon tank. And for me, like I said, I mean, the main part I'm looking at is this, the different types of sponge, which I can take out and rinse easily, and it will push water through them, so it's not just water. It's not just water, you know, not getting polished, plus having a little bio. I'm trying to squeeze a few more in here. Probably a less is more situation, but I just want to get as many in there as possible. So now that I have that, I can put the little top back on. Slide this into the thing. We'll know in a minute if I put too many in there. So you see it has 3 different sponge coarsenesses. You have the kind of filter floss, thick poly filter, and then you have this really coarse sponge for big, more anaerobic bacteria growth, and then this finer sponge. And these aren't like charcoal embedded or anything. They're just sponges. And so that pushes in there, and that pops on top. Looking what I'm doing in that. So now we have a, I guess, better setup there. So we have a bunch of bio rings in the bottom, then the 3 filter levels, and this all, again, it just runs off of an air sponge. So, or not an air sponge, an air hose. So the air hose goes in here, and then that pumps air down through here, and then the uplift that then exits out the tube, so that pushes it down to the bottom and then out, allowing for a current, so then you get water that sucks in here and then is pushed through with the airflow. Also, I was just watching a video, I think by Greg Sage, no, Gary Lang, and oh, now I can't remember, one of those 2 guys, and they were talking about directional flows really good. That's something that we don't usually get from our sponge filters because they just go straight up and they don't push out, so that this directional flow helps with making a better current in the aquarium, which will better move will better move the water and circulate it, so then you get better filtration, but it's also a more natural environment for the fish than just having bubbles coming straight up, because that rarely happens in nature. So I'm going to need both hands to put this in the tank, but I will do that, and I will then show you what it looks like. And by the way, I got these 2 brands. I guess they're both by the same company. I ordered these on Amazon. They were incredibly cheap. I mean, I got both of these for less than the Aquaclear 20 cost on Amazon. Probably got both of these and all of that ceramic media for less, to be honest. This is the single stack, and this one is literally just, it's exactly the same, except this part is doubled, it stacks again, and then it has a longer top hose, and it's designed for a bigger aquarium. And I was actually thinking of maybe putting that one in my 10-gallon grow out, or setting it up with some cycled media in my 20-gallon long for quarantine. So, you know, always have spare filters on hand, and in this case I got a sort of spare filtered shopping spree. So let me get this set up and I will check right back. All right, so there it is. It's really simple. I just plugged it into my gang valve here and attached it into the aquarium. In a few weeks, once that gets nice and cycled, I might remove one of the other sponge filters, just because now there's a lot of real estate being taken up by sponge filter in here. But kind of stirred it up, trying to get it in the corner. You design these as corner filters, but they never actually want to stay in the actual corner. promise I can have it in the corner, or I can have this tube out of my way. I'll fiddle with that more after. But as you see, it's in there, it's working, it's pumping air through. And of course I stirred up the tank terribly, so it's even more messy now. Quick update on the fry, they're doing really well. I've started feeding them some gel food. I need to get to the fish store and buy some more baby brine shrimp because I am too lazy to hatch it myself, although they still are getting microworms at least once a day. So that's my update for this week, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. So again, that's my update for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, always have some extra cycled media that you can borrow from a tank to set up another. Hopefully in a couple weeks here, I will be getting some new fish to share with you. I'm really hoping to set up a new breeding colony or breeding project. So stay tuned for that. As always, have a great day, and I hope you keep being fishy. Bye.